So thank you all for joining us for this conversation with Dr. Jimmeka Anderson, the founder of Black Girls Film Camp, among many other things. Thank you so much, Jimmeka, for being with us today. It's really, really so great to be able to talk to you again. So I kind of just want to launch, this is the second year that we're featuring the Black Girls Film Camp in the festival. We're so excited to have year 2. And so I'm wondering if you could just maybe, for those people who haven't seen, who this is new for, if you could talk a little bit about the origins of the Black Girls Film Camp, and then maybe a little bit about how you got from year 1 to year 2.
Yes. So Black Girls Film Camp was initially a concept that came about from research I was doing in my PhD program a couple years back. I, for the past 10 years, have been doing work in media literacy. That's actually been known in my field as a media literacy educator. And in my PhD work, I was starting to do a lot of work on representation in media and how that impacts students, specifically historically marginalized students. And so for my dissertation, I delved into Black girls specifically. And so while I was doing a lot of the writing, I was learning about the disparities that Black girls were experiencing, not just with representation, but with literacy and tech proficiency and education. So I was like, somebody needs to do something about this, So I wanted to create this space, which through my research was termed a counter space, where Black girls could come together and experience, resilience and healing and relationship building outside of some of the heteronormative elements of society that exist in schools and education and other settings where they may experience microaggressions as they're trying to create. And so how great would it be to create this space where Black girls can create authentically and also build on their literacy and tech proficiency skills, but also addresses the issues with misrepresentation or misrepresentation. They can create their own narratives, their own counter narratives based on their identities of what Black girlhood is and define it for themselves. And so I pieced together a grant proposal that I submitted through my university while I was a doctoral student, and it was funded. And that was how the Keeping It Real Black Girls Film Camp initially started, with this little small grant. COVID then hit in 2020 because I wrote that grant in 2019. It was supposed to be an in-person week-long experience in the summertime, but COVID had its own plans. And so once that happened, we kept pushing it back, saying, okay, it's going to happen in the fall, it's going to happen in the spring, because we thought COVID was going to go away.
Right.
COVID didn't go away. And I remember going to my professor saying, I don't think I'm going to be able to do this program. And he told me, he's like, yes, you are. You're going to figure out a way to make it happen. I'm like, how am I going to do a virtual film camp? Like, has that ever been done? And so I really sat down and pieced together a curriculum that I thought would lead to success for the girls, that if they were to participate, that it'd still be something enriching, engaging. And the way I did that was I created this model where, these Black girls, they are the directors of their films. They create the stories, they're the directors of it. But then I pair them with these amazing Black women editors and these amazing Black women creative coaches to help be a support system for each girl. So to make sure that she received that accountability partner and that support that could, make sure she could make it to the finish line, even though it was a virtual experience. And it worked. It worked. It was 100% completion rate. Everyone
wow.
The program with the film. And so we realized, wow, this is something that we could take to a national level, because we've started getting requests from a national audience of young girls to be involved. So year 1 was predominantly girls on the East Coast, mainly in North Carolina, because that's where I'm stationed, in Charlotte, North Carolina. But in year 2, things just went to a whole nother level, because we opened it up and we really promoted it for a national audience. So we received girls from that represented over 7 states, but 9 cities across the US. And even our creative coaches and editors came from different cities and states as well. We had over 200 girls apply in 2. And that the second year, we also added on an LA retreat, all expenses paid. We received a lot of funding in year 2 to support the programming. So that's why we added on the LA retreat, because we wanted to make it a hybrid experience. So we took a lot of the feedback from the girls in the first year. One of them was like, could you please create an opportunity to meet in person and do something in person? So that was the basis of the LA retreat that served as a production retreat where they learned how to hold a camera, how to shoot. We had USC professors from USC Annenberg and School of Cinematic Arts help teach sessions, and just a phenomenal experience. The girls were in Hollywood. Everyone left in tears. It was mind-blowing. And so I'm going to say, like, when you look at the production value of even the films that came into year 2, you can see that there was a lot more that went into those films. One, because they had more time. The program extended from 4 weeks. The first cohort did those films in 4 weeks.
Wow.
From 4 weeks to 12 weeks. And they also got some hands-on camera production shooting experience as well. And I think that that was reflected in the films that came out in year 2. So a lot changed. And I'm going to say this year, we already have over 800 people on the interest list right now, and applications don't open until November. So just to see the numbers have, what is that, quadrupled?
Which is huge. So, I mean, obviously, what does that say to you about how incredibly valuable this experience is? And what do you, I guess like, what do you do with all of the girls that you can't accept? How do you, like, you know, knowing that there's so much demand, you know, how do we better support that? And what's your hope for what, you know, you can kind of like, there needs to obviously be more than one Black Girls Film Camp.
Oh my gosh, yes. So our main thing is collaboration. So we're trying to collaborate with as many organizations that are out there to create more opportunities and avenues for young Black girls, even if they're not able to participate in the national camp that we do, 12-week camp that we do every year. But additionally, we have sat down and really figured out how else can we reach this audience, because clearly there's a high need and a lot of girls that are very interested in being involved in even just trying out if filmmaking is something, a path for them. And so we have decided that we're building out curricula now where we're taking the films that have been produced, because people don't realize, like, we're year 2, but each year, each cohort, there's 10 new films that come out. So we already have a collection of 20 films. And as like even 2023, that's going to grow to 30 and 40. And so we decided we're going to take the films and build curricula. So any school or any community organization or rec center can start their own Black Girls Film Camp cinema club. So our goal is to start launching cinema clubs where they can see some of the content and view the films, but then the curriculum, it has dialogue and questions and activity for them to kind of have a taste of what filmmaking is like and directing is like, and dab a little bit with story writing and understanding the different elements of filmmaking and film design. And so that's something we're really looking forward to, is to launch our cinema clubs in the spring of 2023. So we can kind of expand the Black Girls Film Camp experience nationally, but it could also be something that expands internationally, because you'll have access to the materials, the films, and also online modules that students can engage with within their own cinema clubs that they may form at school or in their communities.
Man, that is amazing. That is such a, I mean, and also I'm sure for you to think of sort of starting with that, you know, that small proposal and seeing where it went to, that, can you talk a little bit about how you see this connected to the work you've been doing in media literacy, and maybe talk a little bit about what that work has looked like? Because I know that's a huge part of, you know, what you do, you know, aside from this incredible program.
So a lot of people don't realize that I do Black Girls Film Camp, but I am heavily in the media literacy streets.
Yep.
So as a media literacy educator, my goal is to teach as many students and even adults to learn how to acquire the skills to access, analyze, evaluate, create, and take action with media. And so I started a nonprofit organization, a grassroots nonprofit, in my early 20s. It's been well over almost 15 years ago when I started I Am Not the Media. And that was a grassroots organization with a focus of teaching teens media literacy and media creation. But the aims of media literacy is just basically helping people to become more critical on the hidden and hidden messages in media, being able to know how to access and use media, but how to read the media beyond just alphanumeric text, but the messaging, the content, understanding who's the target audience, who created this content, who owns this content, just knowing all of the ins and outs and elements of media construction, but also to understand that all media is constructed. and how does that impact our perceptions, our ideologies, our belief systems. A large role in media literacy for me for the past, I would say, 5 to 10 years has been on representation. A huge focus with I Am Not the Media was on being able to recognize how the role of identity development in media construction, media media messaging, how it impacts our identities, especially with adolescents, and sometimes how we become a reflection of what we're seeing in the media. And so or when we don't see ourselves in the media, how does that impact us? And so the work that I'm doing with Black Girls Film Camp is aligned with that work, is because it focuses on not only media representation, but it's also teaching young girls how to utilize media as a liberatory tool. Because I always say that the media has the ability to liberate or oppress. It's up to whoever has the tool, that they have that power in their hand. And so letting these girls take back the power of the narratives that have been created before them that may have been harmful in the past, historically has marginalized them, but they now have access to this powerful tool that they can redefine, reconstruct that narrative, and they have the power to change minds and change belief systems of what does it mean to be a Black girl in America, and helping people understand those experiences.
Yeah, can you talk a little bit then about, like, obviously this experience gives the girls, the chance to learn what it is to be a filmmaker and how to create a film, but it isn't necessarily, I'm presuming that they all have to then become filmmakers, that, like, the balance between of like learning the film skills and what that provides, apart from like them all having to become filmmakers. I mean, we do a lot of education programs too. And, I think there's the expectation that like we're training them all just to, go into film as a career, but that there's something else, particularly from the media literacy perspective, that's entirely different about what this provides. Can you talk a little bit about that balance of just like what learning to be a filmmaker is versus, what learning to create film does for you?
Definitely. Just learning what it means to be a filmmaker is acquiring the media construction skills, and you're taking the seat of the producer. And so even when I do workshops on media literacy, in the field, it's helping people understand how that construction process plays out. So now they understand all of the elements that it took to create this piece of media. So you have a more clear understanding if you actually go through that process yourself. You understand with Photoshop and editing and how the manipulation of images can create this narrative. And it may not be the complete narrative that it was before, but you can manipulate the story and conform it to be the way you, as the creator of the content, want it to be, and want it to the story that you wanted to tell to the audience once they see the finished product. And so for you to take go behind the scenes and go through that process, you now understands what it's like when you're seeing it as the viewer. As I always talk about the audience and entertainer relationship when I talk about the transition of traditional media to new media, and how that relationship impacts us. So now you're not just sitting in the seat of the audience, you're actually knowing what it's like to be the creator and the entertainer. So when you do see the content, you're like, okay, I now see that this is lighting right here. There's a fan blowing that creates this effect in this commercial ad that's being created. They had this element in this production feature that help construct this to make it more appeasing. They considered these elements to pull in emotions and grab you, and they did these story elements to keep your attention. And so you now understand what that process goes. So you're not easily, I want to say, because there's so many elements now, even with media literacy, a lot of focus with media literacy goes into the misinformation and disinformation space, which is where I get pulled into a lot. But just even from filmmaking, those same skills apply. Even when you're looking at something on social media, you understand that this was constructed. These are the elements and the pieces that were manipulated or concocted in a certain way to grab someone's attention and pull them in or provoke their emotions. So you understand the elements of how media construction takes place to get the attention of the audience.
Right. So knowing that you have such, so many applicants, so many young girls who want to take part, how do you make decisions on who, like, what are you looking for in participants? And, do they have to, I'm presuming they come primarily without a lot of filmmaking skills. And I'm just wondering kind of what you're looking for in an applicant.
Yes. So our applicants, they're such a diverse group. And for us, what we look for when we're going through the applications is a team of us. So it's a large group. We have a recruitment team that is about 10, and they first fill through the applications. And when they're doing that first, they're just looking for the basic requirements. So, our organization, it's Black Girls Film Camp, but our population, we serve our adolescent girls between the ages of 13 and 18 that self-identify as Black, girl, or gender expansive. So, if they meet those basic requirements, they're, because sometimes we'll get applications and someone's 25 and someone's 7, so they'll just do the primary screening. And once they make it through the primary screening, we then look for some of the narratives that they're like, why are you interested in creating your own film? If you could create a film about anything, what would it be about? And just looking for that passion, that creativity, and that authenticity in them wanting to tell their stories. We then select about 40 girls for interviews. And once we do the interviews, they have to come in with a pitch. So we give them the guidelines, what is required for their pitch. They only have 1 minute. They have 1 minute for their pitch. So they actually get a little bit of taste of what it's like to pitch a short film for someone to take it on and, for producing it. And so they come in with their pitches, and when we look at their pitches, we look at they're able to follow directions, because we gave them clear directions on how all of the elements that are required for their pitch. But then also, one of the main things we're looking for is this student, even if they don't know everything about filmmaking, because majority of the girls that come in, this is their first time making a film. Are they coachable? Like, are they willing to take feedback? Because they have to understand in this space, you're going to have to take feedback and apply it. This is supposed to be a learning experience. That's what I always tell, like, this is a learning experience. Like, if you don't need no help, then you don't need Black Girls Film Camp. Like, we're not just here to say, hey, we're going to give you these people to make your film. We're going to teach you also how to put together a story, how to make sure you have a story arc, like how to make sure you have the elements that are going to pull and grab and, your audience. And so, are they coachable? And so that's another component that we're looking for with the girls. So, why are they passionate? Are they coachable? Can they follow directions? And, also just, are they happy to be here? Like, sometimes I'm wondering, like, did a parent force you to be here? But if the girl's like, we can tell that she's interested, and this is something that is either just on her bucket list, or this is something that she thinks is definitely her career path. Right. I just want to see that there's this interest there as well.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about all of the incredible, the whole support system you have set up? Some of the, like you were talking about, the creative coaches and the editors and the people the women that are working with them. Can you talk about how you get all of, that's a pretty wide network that you have to generate. And it seems like you've done it, pretty substantially. And so I'm curious about, and also if you can, they're primarily, or they might be exclusively Black women that are supporting them from the industry, and just, sort of how what their participation looks like.
Definitely. I would be remiss if I didn't say each Black Girls Film Camp is a community of about 100 Black women. I don't know. Each year we do it is a group of 100 to do that program. So it's a lot of hands on deck, from starting out with our production team, our planning team, which are the people we just brought on our new planning team that are helping get everything ready from recruitment to starting to plan out the logistics of the camp, this upcoming year's camp. It's about 20 people we take on each year that are volunteers. This year we took 30, last year we had 30 women that are serving on the planning team as volunteers. We have a board of this year 15 Black women that are on the board. Not all Black women, let me take that back. 15 women. I'm open to a man joining the board though. Just put that out there.
That's a good call out. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have a board of about 15. But then now, when you basically what you were asking, the people that kind of make up the camp. So we bring on 4 advisors. One advisor is a post-production advisor, a production advisor, a pre-production advisor, and a writing coach. So 4 advisors. Those advisors help each girl in her production team. So then the production team consists of the team director. So there's 10, and each team director gets an editor and a creative coach. So then that makes 30. But this year we're adding on an alumni mentor, because the alumni are like, how do we still want to help support, so we're like, okay, we're going to add on an alumni mentor. So each girl this year, coming up in 2023, is going to have an editor, creative coach, and alumni mentor. So a really strong, solid production team to help her with her film. So with the creative coaches and editors, we go through the same process that we go through with the team, selecting the team directors. We do a national call, and they submit applications and they do interviews, and we select the creative coaches and editors for the upcoming year. And then we go through as a team and kind of put their pictures up and say, who do we think would fit and align the best to make their production, to make a production team. And then we say, we got our next 10 production teams, for this year, team director and her production team. So they're nationally selected. With the editors, they have to submit some of their examples of their work, samples of their work, so we can see their editing skills. The creative coaches, they need to have proven background in filmmaking, doing anything in visual arts, just wanting to make sure that someone has experience in the creative filmmaking, or just arts background, that they understand the creative process. Outside of that, we have about, I want to say 40 speakers that participate in the camp. And those women are industry women, that they're in Hollywood, they're showrunners, they're writers, they're executive producers, they're casting directors, PR in the film industry. And those women are selected from our board, because our board are women that are in the industry, and they have relationships, and they help decide who's going to be the speakers for the upcoming year. And so our speakers have been super dynamic. I mean, from Meg DeLoach, I was really excited. My daughter was too, to see Meg DeLoach this year, because she did Family Reunion on Netflix, and her background is amazing in the work that she's done, her body of work. And then, we'll have some actresses like Karen Parsons, who was the old school Hillary Banks, and, Academy Award winner Karen Tolliver, who come back for the second year, and just women that are like top tier in this field right now, and really have TV shows and films that are out right now, that the girls, that they may not know who these women were, but when they come in and they're like, oh, you actually are the showrunner on this show that I'm watching, and they put it together. But then at the finale, because we have a finale at the end where the girls' films are debuted, and we pull in celebrity type, speakers that are around their age range. So this past year, we brought in Kavashane Wallace, who was on Annie, and she's now on the show Swagger, and also Coco Jones, who's on the show Bel Air as the new Hillary Banks. And the year before, we had Ryan Destiny, who played in Star and Grownish. And so that gives them something it's really exciting to see how they light up when they know that their films are debuting, but these young women who are in the industry, they're guest speakers at their showcase. It's quite a treat for them. But like I said, all of those women together, it's about 100 women that are involved with each year's camp to make it what it is. So it's a huge community.
It is a huge community. I mean, and as you said, it's just going to continue to build and grow each year, which makes me wonder, like, are you already starting to feel a little bit like of what the impact is and can be on the industry as a whole? Because like, this is like you planted this incredible seed, and it's already grown into like a small tree, and like you can see that it's going to grow into something just huge. And so I'm wondering if you're starting to see some of those how those connections and how the whole community is really impacting what's happening within Hollywood and in the industry more generally.
Yeah, so we're starting to see a lot of the impact that we're making. I of course think that we're going to see way more, but let me say I've seen the influence right now, and I think the impact is to come. So some of the ways that I see that the camp has made an influence on the young girls in just 2 years. Two of the girls in this past year, they went off to college, and one of them went to USC Film School, and we already made connections with her at USC when she was entering, for the fall. And so that was really exciting to know that we helped create a support system for her at USC that we established through our partnership with them. And then one of the other young ladies going off to college to major in visual media arts as well. The year prior, one of the girls changed her major to film after doing the camp. And some of our girls already started getting internships in the industry. One of the young ladies that was in our first year's cohort this past year, she was a creative coach, and she created her second short film since being in the first cohort, and it got accepted for the Black Girls Rock Film Fest. And so,
nice.
you know, we're starting to see some of the stories of impact, but the thing that surprised us the most that we didn't realize that was going to happen is a lot of our creative coaches and editors, a lot of them are young adults, and they're in college or they just graduated from college, and they're, you know, they're emerging filmmakers themselves. And so this experience has also been very beneficial with them because they've been building relationships, meeting other creative people that have now become creative partners. And even some of the internships that come to us that we share with them, they've been applying for too. So a lot of them have shared with us, like, you know, thanks for sharing this, because now, because of Black Girls Film Camp, you know, making those connections, I'm now going to be working here, or I'm going to be doing this over the summer. And so we didn't realize that it wasn't just going to be an impact on just the young girls, but even the young adult women, Black girls and women in college, and right, you know, they're still in their 20s and they're still, you know, trying to do this career, that it's making an impact on them as well.
That's so amazing. And it's like I said, it's just going to continue. So just to wrap up, so for students who are watching who could be potential participants, how would you suggest that they, like, what's the process for them if they wanted to apply?
Yes, so applications open November 30th, 2022. So it's coming soon. And they close December the 15th. And so, yeah, and so we're going to do a lot of promo before the applications open November 30th. I will go ahead and let you all in on the secret that it is going to be a short video submission of a minute this year. That's different from the past where it was just completely paper application, but it's going to be an application and a video, short video. But we're going to start promoting in November, the 1st of November, to get everyone ready to know everything that they need to do before the application goes live. And so one of the things that you can do if you are watching is go to our website at blackgirlsfilmcamp.org and join the interest list, because you will be in the loop on all of this information. It's going to come directly to you via email, that you don't have to search for anything, and you'll be super prepared for when the applications open. But just to know when they do open, be sure of yourself. Don't second guess. Apply, be confident, just think of something that you're passionate about, because those passion stories make the best story pitches and the best films, in my opinion. So just think about what you're passionate about in the world. And it could be something even just as simple that, you know, something that maybe an experience that happened to you when you were a little kid, you don't even realize, like, that's an amazing story. So, you know, just think of what that story could be, you know, start thinking about that right now before the applications open, so that when the application does open, you already have that piece together, and all you have to do is submit. And so go ahead and start preparing now. Applications, like I said, open November 30th. Awesome.
And then for other audience members who maybe are in a position to support the cause of, you know, to be able to contribute to, or, you know, what are ways that other people can help support the work that you're doing?
Oh my goodness. One is donate. Donate. So if you go to the blackgirlsfilmcamp.org page, you can click on the Give tab and make a donation. We also have a sponsorship program. So if you're interested in getting becoming a sponsor, we're already solidifying sponsors for 2023. Some of the sponsors that have been confirmed are amazing, and we'll be announcing them soon. But please become a sponsor. And you can go to the website, give, and you'll see the sponsorship packet, or you can just email me directly, Jimmeka@blackgirlsfilmcamp.org. My email is also on the website. Additionally, we're doing some fundraising. One of the things that we're doing this upcoming year, if you want to support, is we're partnering with an organization called Chloe Cares. One of our girls from 2022, she has an organization called Chloe Cares. Her name is Chloe. And she's been doing this organization since she was like 8 years old, where she goes to Ghana every year. And she wanted to partner with us and her cohort to take 2022 cohort to Ghana, and they were going to film and they're going to do a short little documentary in Ghana in summer of 2023. So they're doing a lot of fundraising right now for that trip. Black Girls Film Camp Goes to Ghana is the name of the campaign. And if you're interested in supporting just that mission trip that the girls will be taking to work together collaboratively and do a short documentary, please support by reaching out to us and making a donation. We would love your support.
That's amazing. Yeah, we actually featured Chloe in a, because she was featured in a documentary film we showed a few years ago in Environmental Youth Forum because of her work working with the homeless community in LA where she lives, and we had her do a Zoom Q&A. I think it was in 2020 when we had to switch online. Yeah, she's a powerhouse. That's amazing. That's
She's
so great
a powerhouse.
to see the
And
connection.
she was one of our
between two.
teams.
Yeah,
She was one of our teams in this past year's cohort. Her film was on addressing homelessness. Yes.
Yeah, truly amazing. Well, you also, Jimmeka, it never ceases to amaze me how much you do and how incredible it all is, and the impact that you're having is tremendous. So thank you so much for all of your work with Black Girls Film Camp, with media literacy, with everything else. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. We definitely look forward to seeing you again next year, hopefully in person.
Yes, definitely. Thank you so much, Joanne.
Yeah, absolutely.